Welcome to another edition of Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco on WWDB, AM 860 Talk Radio, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And, of course, I'm here, Pete Trabucco, with my producer and co-host. And we finally got her back into the studios, and she's so busy with that other radio station owned by Beasley Media. And we got Haley Taylor Simon. Haley, how are you today?
Doing good. I cannot complain. It's finally a new month.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's right. It's February 3rd, 2 p.m. on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Philadelphia. You're just so busy, Haley. Every time I try to get you, you're like with the Philly Fanatic, which is obviously we know that station. That's one of the top stations here in Philly, doing all these different interviews. Every time I see her, folks, she's with another guy in the locker room doing an interview with somebody.
That is correct.
It's like, many years ago, before you were born, women weren't allowed in the locker room.
Yep.
Okay, and it took some of our guests that actually were on the show to change that type of atmosphere. So now I haven't talked to you in a while. We got to talk about this first, and then we'll introduce our guests, which are fantastic. If you're a Dallas fan or a Soprano fan, you're gonna love this. Okay, but all right, so. Let's go back. Little heartbreak here. We saw the Phillies lose last year, okay, when they were doing pretty well. Now, all of a sudden, here we go. 6 games in a row. The Philadelphia Eagles blow it, okay? The only thing I can compare that to is the 2004 New York Yankees who were up against the Boston Red Sox. All they had to do was win one game, and they would have got into the World Series. No, unfortunately, the Red Sox came back, beat them, won the World Series that year. But my goodness, what do you think happened to these Eagles?
I mean, to sum it up, they just choked. At the end of the day, this team obviously didn't have the talent that it needed. And I can't blame the coaches too much. It's a whole team effort, but they just didn't put the effort in, didn't execute on the field, and a lot of factors went into it. But definitely a locker room problem. I don't think that you can make the argument that there wasn't.
Yeah.
They just got outplayed. And at the end of the day, it sucks. It's an awful story going 10-1 and then losing 6 in a row.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what they did to themselves.
It's really sad because it's like they were right there. They were on a run, 10-1. They were doing fantastic. And then they lost to the Jets, of all teams.
Okay, to be fair, though, the Jets do have a good defense. Despite them not having a good quarterback, they do have a good defense.
Yeah, but see, when they lost, I kind of thought, okay, things aren't going too well because Jets at the time, they were not a great team. But then they lost to all these other teams, the Giants, and then later on, all they had to do was knock off Tampa.
Pete,
I mean,
they
seriously.
didn't just lose to the Giants; they got killed by the
Giants.
I know. It was bad. I was watching the game at a bar, and I looked at the bartender, and I said, "Can you turn this off?"
Oh, my goodness.
It was bad.
It was awful. It was terrible. I mean, 6 games in a row. I kept telling people when I was talking about, don't worry, they've lost 5 in a row. Tampa, they're going to beat Tampa. Not a big deal.
You thought that?
I really did. I really thought they were going to come around. I thought, okay, 5 in a row, they're going to do something. Now, they've gotten rid of some of their assistant coaches. Maybe that'll help a little bit. On the chopping block, I'm glad that,
Yeah, bringing Fangio and more definitely will help with the new coordinators, but at the end of the day, I love Jalen Hurts, so I'm always going to defend him.
Sure.
But has he regressed? Yes, because he's not running the ball like he used to.
Well, he was hurt, too.
Yeah, with the
other thing.
Bone bruise on his knee.
Now, the Philadelphia Flyers, that's our hockey team here, okay?
Yep.
And this young lady that I'm talking with, folks, if you don't know, basically is kind of like a reporter for the Philly Fanatic, and she does a lot of interviews with the Philadelphia Flyers. And tell me what you think about them this year so far.
So definitely a surprising team. They recently have just lost about 5 games in a row, so not the best.
Oh, no, not again.
Yeah.
No.
Well, okay, no, I'll tell you the positive, though. They're still in position to be in the playoffs, which is a good thing. This team is rebuilding, so obviously there's not a whole lot to expect. You expect them to maybe not play as well, but they've been playing better than people thought. Unfortunately, with their goaltender, Carter Hart, due to some criminal charges against him.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
They're now using Sam Ersson, who has been phenomenal as the backup, but putting a lot of pressure on him to be their main goalie. So it's going to be interesting to see how they, conform after the break. But This team is exciting. They're playing well, a lot of young talent. So don't put on the panic button yet. Okay. Take a deep breath and just know that there's so many younger guys on this team that are going to develop and be stars one day. I'm not worried.
Yeah.
Give it 2 or 3 seasons and they're going to be always in the playoffs.
Now, you've interviewed a lot of them in the locker room, okay? By the way, Lisa Granero, she was on our show. She was one of the main people that actually started, where women actually started going into the locker rooms and actually reporting on the same level as the men. So who have you met? Who have you talked to recently on the Philly Fanatic?
Everybody. Every single player on the Flyers I have talked to for the past couple seasons now. I want to say, because people always say to me, Haley, who's the nicest person?
Okay.
100% Cam Atkinson. He's a
really?
forward. Yeah, one of the leaders of the team, one of the nicest people, most personable person. His family doesn't live in Philadelphia. They live in Columbus, where he recently played. And every time when his family is going to visit him, he's like, Haley, guess who's coming to see me? And I'm like, Cam, your family? He was like, that's right.
Oh, my goodness.
So nicest person. But all the guys on the team were great. Obviously, I always enjoy talking to Danny Briere, the GM, and Keith Jones, who's the president of hockey operations. I mean, I can't say one bad thing about these guys. Some of the nicest down-to-earth guys. And you wouldn't be able to tell that they're athletes based on how they talk to you.
I'm impressed. I mean, the only locker rooms I have been in are the ones I've been in, okay?
Right.
They don't allow me any other locker rooms. So really pretty cool. And I like your style. Hey, people, you got to go to Facebook. I think it's Haley Taylor Simon. You can check out all the pictures of all these athletes that she's done. And we're going to get them in the off season.
Yep.
We're going to get a lot of them into the studio.
Yeah, no, which will be awesome. A lot of them now live in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area.
Okay.
Because so many of them are from Russia, Canada, Sweden, all over. And now they found their home in Philly.
Which is
Don't
good.
blame them.
Which is good. So, Haley, I hope you like movies and I hope you like television.
I do.
Okay.
To both.
Well, listen, we got some pretty good guests here. In fact, they're actually doing a show in New York, in California as well, and they have done stuff in Philly too at one point. But we got some really great guests. For those of you that are just joining, we have fantastic actor Deborah Renard, and you might know her from she was actually Luella from Dallas, 10 years. She was J.R. Ewing's secretary. I think hundreds of episodes that she did. We're going to talk about Larry Hagman and what she thought of Larry and the crew, because there were so many great people there. But she also did, and I just saw this movie yesterday. She just saw the movie. I saw the movie Lionheart with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay, and she played the villain in this show. And boy, I tell you, you wanted to hate her, but she was just so pretty on screen. It was like, wow, what's wrong with you, Jean-Claude? She's a cool gal, you know what I mean? Okay, she likes money and she likes manipulating people, but, who doesn't? So, I mean, she was fantastic in that.
Good point, Pete.
Okay, also she was, she had roles on Days of Our Lives as well as Family Law, which basically with the pilot for Family Law was another thing that she did. I can go on and on and on and on, all the stuff, and we will. But I wanted to say hi to Deborah Renard. Deborah, how are you doing today?
Hey, Pete, I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I know I caught you after a show, okay, because you guys did a show in New Jersey. And again, you're going to be in New York in about a week and a half or whatever, the 10th, I believe
February
it is.
10th. February
Exactly.
10th at the cutting room.
Yeah, and we will talk about that. I've been to the cutting room too. Basically they threw me out because I wasn't onto it's kind of like Studio 54. If you don't look right, they throw you out. They kind of threw me out too as well. But so you've done a lot of that stuff, and obviously you and Al Sapienza is going to be also with us. In fact, Al is here right now. Let's talk about Al. If you like Sopranos, if you remember the beginning seasons, you got a character by the name of Mickey Pamucci, okay? And he was actually pretty cool. I mean, I kind of liked him, but the way he gets killed at the end, okay, when they finally get him, Paulie, and they get him, and he's jogging, okay, and they got you, which was really funny. But not only that, he's done Suits. He's done Jack Ryan. He's done Reacher. Okay. In addition to that, many other things. But here's the cool part. Way back, and I'm going back before you were probably born, Haley, there was a thing called Beatlemania on Broadway. and you had four people dress up as the Beatles, and they would play their music, and it was a big hit on Broadway. Well, Al was actually the drummer for the band as well. So, Al, how are you doing today, sir?
Did you know I was quarterback for the Green Bay Packers for a little while?
No, I did not. Tell me about that story.
Nah, I wasn't. I just wish I was.
I for a moment there, I kind of thought you were. There's an old movie called Paper Lion with Alan Alda.
Yes.
So now here I'm thinking that basically, you're like Alan Alda in Paper Lion, like George Plimpton, and you are with the Detroit Lions in their summer camp, and then you end up going in for 4 plays, and you lose 36 yards and smash into the goalpost and get knocked out. If you recall, that's the.
Zero. You were talking about all that sports, and I just got envious. Now, what can I say?
Well, listen, I did try with the Mets in 1982, so that's a true story. Okay, and they cut my butt, and 4 years later they were World Series champions. So I missed it by 4 years.
I don't want to hear about the Mets.
So what did you do? What did you do with the Mets? Did you play? Were you a player?
Yeah, I played. I played in the farm system, and basically was at Shea Stadium for a little bit. Got to meet my idols, Tug McGraw, who played for the Phillies as well as for the Mets, Lee Mazzelli, and I got a double off John Franco. So I was pretty cool.
My God. So, and what position did you play most of the time?
Most of the time left out. No, just kidding. Basically, I played outfield, basically left field and right field. And then later on in my career, 50 years later, I still played. I played third base and then first base. And then I was getting really old, so they DH'd me when I was 60. So they told me, I think at this point you should quit because now they're DHing me. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
That must have been so much fun.
Oh, it was great going down the summer.
So much fun.
It was fantastic. Jeez. But unfortunately, the only locker room I saw was the locker room I was in. Not like Haley's going around with all these big shots, playing hockey and stuff, and making these millions and millions of dollars. And that must be, I would love
millions.
I would love to do that. Haley, if I had a bucket list, that would be one thing I want to do. Is do what you're doing now on the Philly Fanatic, because I've done everything else pretty much. I've been in with the astronauts. I've actually been in the full motion sim. I read books. I've done the military stuff, the pilot, aviation, but I've never done that, and I would have loved to do
Pete,
that.
we need a show called What Hasn't Pete Done? Because I feel like you've done it all.
When you get to be my age, you will too. But right now, the people that have done it all are on right now, okay? We're talking about Deborah and Al, okay? So ladies first, so let's start with Deborah because, man, I am so impressed. And again, I just saw the movie Lionheart yesterday, okay? And I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, and you had an amazing role. How did you get it? I mean, I know you were in other things prior to that, but how did you land that role?
It was fun. Well, it was just an audition. I got it through my agent, and I met with Jean-Claude and the director, Sheldon Lettich, and they just loved me. They just thought I was great and perfect, and it was fun for me to play a villainess. I'd never really done that before. I'd kind of always been the good girl after 10 years on Dallas.
Yeah.
And I was actually, my character name was Sly, even though I was
Yes.
pretty much a good girl. Sylvia Lovegren. But you said Luella, which is so interesting because guess what? The executive producer's secretary, real secretary in life, was Luella.
Really?
And I was thinking to myself, how did he get that name? Where'd you pull that name from? Nobody knows that.
No.
And they named our characters, the secretaries on Dallas. It was kind of an in-joke. They named us after secretaries in the office, in the Lorimar Dallas office. So there was an actual Sylvia Lovegren that I was named after.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Like, nickname Sly. JR loved to do that. Larry loved to do it. Just Sly, get in here, Sly.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. That was pretty cool. It was a good movie. You had a great part. In fact, you stole the scenes. I mean, John Claude's there. Okay, he did a good job. I mean, most of it was kicking and fighting and all that stuff. But when it came to actual,
and he did all those fights.
I know. Well,
himself, he really knew how to do that. He was great.
He was.
So I have to.
But you're so kind. Thank you.
So I have to ask, if there's one moment in your career that stood out to you, just like a moment where you just feel like, hey, this was the coolest thing I've ever done, I need to tell everybody, what would it be?
Wow, that's a hard question. But I will say, recently, Al and I were in the Philippines singing.
Really?
And we sang for 16,000 people.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, I did have like that, what you're talking about right now. I had that moment of, holy cow, I can't believe I'm singing to 16,000 people. I feel like a rock star.
Well, you definitely are. You know, I mean, you're up there with Billy Joel and, well, maybe not quite Billy Joel and Elton John, but you're...
And this is a second career for us. You know,
That's true.
You know, we're actors. Suddenly, we started this thing like 8 years ago, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. We opened for Peter Noon of Herman's Hermits.
Oh, wow.
Last July at the PNC in New Jersey. That was 8,000 people, and that was pretty amazing. I was like, whoa, I can see why these rock stars like this.
Sounds good. Good.
It's really phenomenal.
Well, listen, we're going to be back with Live on Tape right after these messages. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LIFEVAC.
It started with the original care package, helping survivors in the aftermath of World War II. And for almost 80 years, CARE has been delivering hope around the world in the form of supplies to those in crisis, combating climate change, and generating solutions to the world's biggest problems. Our story for a better world is only starting. Join us to secure a better future for her at care.org.
And welcome back to Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio. And of course, my co-host, Haley Taylor Simon, is here. And we are just so happy to have the guest that we have right now. We have been talking with actress Deborah Renard, who you might remember from the days on Dallas, 10 years, hundreds of episodes on Dallas. Of course, the movie Lionheart with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Family Law, she was in the pilot for that. Days of Our Lives, she was on that. And there's literally 2-3 dozens worth of, I could be here all day talking about that. But we also have Al here now. I think it's Al's turn. Al Sapienza is here, and of course, you might remember him. If you're a big Sopranos fan, you'll remember in the first season there was Mickey Pamucci, okay, and he was a cool guy. He was a pretty cool guy, you know. He was kind of on the same level as Tony Soprano during the beginning, okay. But unfortunately, it did not last.
Tony won.
Yeah, Tony won, and he didn't even do it himself. He sent Paulie and what do you call it? Christopher to do it. You know, he couldn't do it himself there. But it's funny as hell. You're running in your jogging outfit, and you're running and end up in the middle of nowhere. And all of a sudden, they start shooting. It was pretty.
All of a sudden, a Cadillac pulls up, and when you see a Cadillac in the woods, you know there's trouble.
Yeah, you know you're in trouble. I'm surprised you didn't well, you tripped. That was the thing. You tripped. If you hadn't tripped, you might have made it. Okay.
I was fast runner. I didn't run fast enough, but that tripped. That did it.
Yeah. So
22 bullets. 22.
This is true. Well, you know, you should have been wearing a vest, man. Why were you not wearing a vest?
I know.
Okay.
I don't know. I should have been jogging with a vest. That's totally true.
Sounds good. In addition to that, of course, you've done Reacher, Suits, Jack Ryan, House of Cards, and of course Beatlemania. You were the drummer on Broadway, and I remember I went to Beatlemania. I've seen you because I went to Beatlemania when it first came out on Broadway, and you guys.
Yeah, the Winter Garden. Yeah,
you guys were.
Yeah,
you guys were great. Okay.
You know, when people hear that name, they think the show would be crappy. But thank you for saying it. It was great.
Yeah.
And people thought we were lip syncing. We had to rehearse for 1 year, just 29 songs. The average song was 3 minutes long. For a year, we played the mistakes. We breathed when they breathed on the record. it was Jules Fisher from Broadway did all these special effects and the videos and the slides and it was just, I loved doing that show. And we played the Schubert down on Broad Street in Philadelphia once I went on the road in 1979. I was down in Philly for a while playing down there too. It was great.
Is there any specific project that you look back on and you think, oh, this was really underrated, but I enjoyed it?
Absolutely. I think in some ways it's better. The Sopranos was great, and it changed my life for the better in every possible way. And artistically, it was a blast. There's another show I did that I think might be better called Brotherhood. It was on Showtime.
Okay.
It was with Jason Isaacs, who's a big star. Jason, the other Jason Clark. He became a movie star. It's about two brothers. One is in the state legislature, and one is a gangster. And I play the mayor of Providence, Rhode Island. And I think that show was great. And Associated Press called it a masterpiece. It was on for 5 seasons, but they didn't spend a lot of money on it, so a lot of people didn't see it. Watch that show. It's great. Absolutely.
Because I feel like you've done so many projects, and, I looked at your IMDb, and I'm like, okay, I cannot count how many things you have done, because it's been that many. So that's an interesting thing. I always wonder that about, people in the industry, if there's ever something, specific and special.
Oh, yeah. My life, my turning points in my creative life were Beatlemania, The Sopranos, and House of Cards.
Yeah.
And then I did, this sounds crazy, but in 2005, in 2007, 8, and 9, I did the stage premiere, $15 million show of Dirty Dancing.
Wow.
And it will go to Broadway. They got into legal battles with Lionsgate. But we broke every box office record in Toronto, every box office record possible. And it was so much fun. And when you're in a musical and the music is great and the actors are great, everyone's happy. Like, the audience is happy. Just think of, like, the movie Dirty Dancing, watching it live, and the dancing and the thing. So it was just such positive energy. You do a serious drama like Ibsen or Chekhov, you take that stuff home with you.
Yeah.
You live the character. It's inside your imagination and in your brain, and it affects you. Musicals, everybody's happy. I loved it. That was a turning point too.
Wow. Well, this question is next for both of you, okay? Because, I've actually interviewed a lot of different people on the show, and I've also, had the books out and did the whole, run of the entire United States. And I share green rooms with a lot of people, a lot of famous people I shared green rooms with. Didn't talk to them that much, but I shared green rooms. I never acted or worked with them. Now, you guys have. Okay, so, Deborah, I got to ask this. I'm a big Larry Hagman fan. I was for years. I loved him when he was on I Dream of Jeannie, okay?
Oh, me too. I loved him on that show.
Me too.
So what the heck was he like? And I'm going to ask you a similar question, Al, after this one. But what was he like? You were with him for 10 years.
Oh, my God. He couldn't have been nicer. First of all, he was so grateful to have a job.
Okay.
Because he'd been so successful with I Dream of Jeannie, and then he had some lean years. So when Dallas came along, and now he's at the top of his game again, he didn't take advantage of that. Like, he looked at that like, you know what, I'm happy that I'm working. And he kind of set the tone for the whole set. Because when it comes from the top, it filters down. And so everybody was so nice. It was a really well-run set. And he and Patrick were also total pranksters. So they loved to do practical jokes on each other. And they kept everyone laughing. We never had a serious rehearsal the entire 10 years I was on that show. The executive producer, Leonard Katzman, would just throw his hands up and say, all right, let's just shoot this thing. I can see there's going to be no serious rehearsal here. And so it was so much fun. It was a great time, and everyone was in a good mood because, you're on a number one show. Everyone's got job security. So everyone's having a great time. And he was so kind to me because he saw that I was, young and starting off. I was only 20 when I started on the show. It was one of my first jobs. And he kind of took me under his wing. He was like a mentor to me. He would give me advice. And, when he directed, he just spent so much time to make sure that I got the best take I could, which they never do in television. It's always like, okay, let's move on. Everybody hit their marks and, in the right place, set their lines. Great, let's move on, But he would be like, no. He really took the time to make sure that I got, was my best work. And I can't say enough about him. He was so kind.
So outside of acting, singing, dancing, entertaining, what else do you like to do? And this is for both of you. Any hobbies, anything that maybe people don't necessarily know about you that you enjoy that's a passion?
I did some writing for a while. When I became a producer for a number of years, actually. So I did Dallas, I did Lionheart, did a bunch of things, and then I met my husband, and he was a filmmaker, and so I produced with him, and we actually won some Oscars, and then I started writing, working with the writers, and then I decided I wanted to write some plays on my own, so I wrote some plays that got produced, and writing I found very, very interesting, very just creative in a whole different way. You have to be willing to sit by yourself a lot.
Wow.
But it's fun because especially after you write something and then people perform it, you feel like God. You're like, these words didn't exist. This world didn't exist until I wrote it out of my head. And I have to tell you, it's a whole different kind of high. It's great.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that if we have some time. All right, Al, so you had two questions, actually. The first one was, what was it like to be on the set of Sopranos? Obviously, there's other sets, but, people know Sopranos. They know that you were there. And unfortunately, the story I heard is that they were going to kill you off, and you were like, no. Tell us that story real quick.
Yeah, I'll try to tell you really quick. The Sopranos was phenomenal, and for a bunch of reasons. It was 1998. There was no work in New York City. There was one Dick Wolf show. Everybody was looking for work in New York, right? And so it was an experiment. There were no high-budget cable 60-minute, scripted shows. So everyone was grateful to have a job. It was all unknowns. Lorraine Bracco was the only star from Goodfellas, but she hadn't worked in a long, long time. Jimmy did Get Shorty and Crimson Ties. Nobody knew who he was. Everybody else were struggling actors like me. Big Pussy, Paulie Walnuts was an extra most of the time. Christopher was only Spider, and it was all unknown. So we were thrilled to be doing a TV show in New York and New Jersey and in Queens, working. Jimmy was unknown. We were good friends in 98, and we shot the whole first season before it was on the air. So the whole thing was done, and nobody knew if it was going to get picked up for another season or be a hit. So I come out. I'm living in L.A. I come out. I get the job thanks to Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. That's a whole other story that I'll tell you some other time. So I get this job, and I'm in L.A. from 1984 to 1998. I met Deborah in acting school in 1984.
Okay.
And nobody knows me. Nobody knows me. They all know each other. They're all New York Goombas, right? So I get on the show, and David Chase, who doesn't speak a lot, in episode 4, when I threw Rusty Irish over the waterfall to die, he puts his arm around me, and he says to me, he goes, I didn't picture Mikey this way, but I love what you're doing with the character. So I'm like, oh, this is great. And they're writing for me, and I'm in every episode. And then my manager in L.A. calls Elaine Landress, the producer. She goes, we love Al. So I moved back from L.A. I moved all my stuff. I'm now in New York. Episode 7, he calls me into his office. He goes, Al, you're going to die at the end of this, right? I almost started to cry.
Oh, my goodness.
I was begging. I was begging. Please, David, don't kill me. Get a guest star for the last 5 episodes. We'll kill him. He goes, no, this isn't that kind of show. And then he said 2 very interesting things to me. He goes, why are you so upset? And I said, well, I think it's going to be a hit. The dialogue, it just rolls off my tongue. And he goes, I don't know if America's going to get the humor. It's the first thing he said. And the second thing he said will blow your mind. He goes, and frankly, if we get picked up for another season, I have nothing else to say on the matter. Everything he wanted to say about The Sopranos was in that first season.
Really?
His mother, the mother, and The Sopranos was written about his mother.
Wow.
Olivia, he had a nasty mother in Newark. He's an Italian. His real name is Cesario, not Chase. And he wrote it about his mother. And at the end, Jimmy kills the mother, but they changed it 3 days before when he sticks the pillow over Olivia's face in the hospital. In the original script, he kills her. And then they changed their mind at the last minute. And I said to him, I was begging him. And then I said, if you're going to kill me, can I at least die like Sonny in the toll booth? Like, I wanted dramatic. And he goes, let me think about it. And he allowed me. He put 22 scripts on me, and they shot me 22 times. So I was able to do the Sonny thing.
Well,
Sopranos was great.
Well, that's because you tripped. I mean, you were running and running. You were doing good. All of a sudden, you just tripped. Now, obviously, you tripped on purpose, okay? Because I didn't see anything.
Made me.
I didn't see anything that could have tripped you, okay? I watched the video, okay? There was nothing that could have tripped you up there, okay?
Nothing. I tried to keep running. I was going to show up. I was not going to show up for work that day to have them kill me.
This is true. Well, listen, we got to take another break, but we'll be back with Live on Tape right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LIFEVAC.
You've worked hard. You've earned a life that you can call your own. Retirement worries shouldn't get in the way. But many Americans like you are finding that retiring on a fixed income is harder than they expected. Fortunately, there are benefits programs that can help. Visit benefitscheckup.org to see if you're among the millions of people eligible for thousands of dollars in benefits to help you age well, so you can focus on what's really important. Benefits Checkup. You've earned this.
And hello, and welcome back to Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco on WWDB AM 860 Talk Radio. Pete Trabucco here with my co-host, Haley Taylor Simon.
Hello,
hey, listen.
hello.
There she is. Listen, I got to tell you about a good bunch of pals of mine from World Star Public Relations, where excellence meets exposure. Now, are you ready to elevate your brand to new heights? Well, their team of dynamic PR experts, and I can tell you firsthand, are here to make your story shine bright on the global stage. Whether you're a startup, an established artist, business, or a rising star, we specialize. And I say we because I got a little hand with this. They're great people. And in crafting narratives that captivate and the campaigns that really resonate. So World Star PR, your passport to the world of unparalleled visibility and success. And join the ranks of those who already made headlines. A lot of the people are actually on the show, which is amazing. So choose World Star Public Relations and let your story take center stage. Now, there's a phone number, believe it or not. There's a website, but they like me to give the phone number out. It's the old days. That's 631-506-6600, 631-506-6600. And yes, I am here with the beautiful and talented Haley Taylor Simon. And we've got some fantastic guests. You got Deborah Renard, okay, you might remember her from Dallas, 10 years with, of course, Larry Hagman on stage, and she's done the producing work. Of course, she's done the movie Lionheart, many other things, Family Law, Days of Our Lives. She was actually had several different appearances there. And, of course, we got Al Sapienza, who was Mikey Palmucci on The Sopranos, but also Reacher, Suits. I mean, we could spend like hours talking about all your characters, you and Deborah, with Jack Ryan in House of Cards, and of course, what you did to stint. Now, what I want to get into is this. In addition to you guys being really famous, and I can't wait, on the 10th, folks, okay, February 10th, they're going to be in New York City, and they are singers. And they are musicians in addition to what they have done here. They're acting. Okay, they are really top-notch singers. And if you ever get to New York City, we'll talk about the details on that. You got to be able to go there. I'm going there, and I tell you, I'm bringing my autograph book, Debbie and Al. Okay,
okay, and give you an autograph. Pete.
You know what we call people like that? We call them triple threats: entertainment, singing, dancing. I call those people superstars because seriously, to do all that and to be that talented, it's incredible. And so little people have that talent.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely incredible.
That's very nice of you, Haley. Thank you.
Thank you
I'm
very
just speaking
much.
the truth. So
No,
you do all the work.
But believe me, Haley, if you listen to the earlier version, how she said that the Philadelphia Eagles choked. Okay, she says it like it is. She doesn't really sugarcoat things there. So if she's saying
they
that,
did choke, man. Like they were what 10-1.
yes,
They totally choked. But you know what? San Francisco probably would have beat them anyway.
Nah, you never know. You never know. It's like that movie. It's like that movie, Any Given Day. Okay,
Exactly.
And any other team can beat that. But no, if Haley says that is pretty cool. But I'm saying it too because I can't wait to meet you guys. I can't wait to hear the show.
You.
Now let's get
Thank
into.
you.
We've talked about you, and believe me, we could spend hours doing this. But let's talk about your musical career. Now, Al, I know you started as a musician and you played on Broadway. What interests you in music? And then I'll ask Deborah the same question.
Very quickly, I'm the youngest of 5 children. So when I was born, there were rock and roll albums all over the place. Murray the K, Alan Freed, the Temptations. So it was around me. So I was obsessed with music when I was on my rocking horse. I remember singing Bobby Vinton. I'd sing myself to sleep. And then when I was 8, I saw the Beatles with my mother and a couple of my siblings, and it blew my mind on the Ed Sullivan Show, February 9th, 1964, almost 60 years ago. And the next day, I begged my father for a snare drum, and he got me for drums. He got me a gold snare drum and a cymbal, and then for my confirmation in 5th grade, he got me a full drum set. So I played the drums almost every day, and then I dabbled in guitar. My brother played the guitar more than me, and then I was in my first rock band in 5th grade, and then I wanted to be an actor when I was 12. But I kept playing the music, and luckily, through a friend, through an acting class outside of NYU, I got in Beatlemania, and it started me down the showbiz road. I saved up my money, went to L.A. in 1982, met Deborah in 84 in this acting class, stayed in that class for 14 years, and started booking jobs. And I love working more than anything. You asked, what hobbies I have? I used to fly planes, single-engine Lance planes.
Hey,
I don't have time
a
anymore.
pilot. Yay, all right.
I was, yeah. I haven't renewed my medical in 20 years, but I was a pilot in the 80s when I was in LA at Santa Monica Airport. I don't have any hobbies. I play touch football on Saturdays in New York. I work out. I love working. I'm a workaholic. I find my most happiness with fellow workers on the set, creative people. I want to work. That's what I like doing, period.
Now, Deborah,
I hate relaxing.
How did you get into that?
So I fell in love with the Broadway musical in high school. And to me, it was like heaven to be able to do all the things I loved all in one place, sing, dance, and act. So I was starring in all the musicals, and then I got the brilliant idea when I was upset that when they were over, that I should just be a professional actress. So I did. But then, fortunately and unfortunately, I got cast in Dallas a couple of years later, and I never made it to Broadway, and that was my dream. I wanted to go to New York and do that whole theater thing. So, Dallas, as you know, just went on forever. And then when it was over, I started producing, got married, raised a kid, and whatever. But then, I reconnected with Al, and we started doing this show. And we started basically, just by singing at charity events, and everyone would come up to us afterwards and say, God, you guys are amazing. Where are you performing? And we're looking at each other going, I don't know. At a certain point, we thought, maybe we should create a show. So we did. We basically took all our favorite songs, all hit songs from the 60s and 70s and even some from the 80s, everything from Neil Diamond, Barbra Streisand, Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, of course, and then the best of Broadway, because now it's my chance to be on Broadway. So that's what we do. We sing songs from Phantom of the Opera. I sing from Funny Girl and Cabaret, and it's just a great time.
I got to say something, and I have to throw something in here, and it's really important. And I'm not saying this because Deborah is my singing partner. Had she gone to Broadway, you're going to see it. And listen, I love Sutton Foster. I love Stockard Channing. I love Christine Baranski. She would have been the star of Broadway because her voice is unbelievable. You'll see it, but she has a look that no one on Broadway has. She would have been the leading lady. Trust me, if she did the New York thing, but she did fine out in Hollywood. But the fact that she never got there, those actresses are lucky because she would have got all the roles, and you'll see that when you see the show. And I'm not just saying that because I work with her. She has a much better voice than mine. She has an amazing voice.
Thank you. We have different voices. We have different qualities, and I think that's what makes the show also so interesting.
So I need to ask, when it comes to Broadway, can you tell me what your favorite show was growing up and then what your favorite show is now? I'm curious if it changed any bit.
My favorite show.
Asking the tough questions today.
When I was in high school, is when Phantom of the Opera came out. So I would have to say that was probably my favorite show, like growing up. And now I don't like the shows as well now. What's the last one I've loved, musical, Al? I can't think.
They're just not like they used to be. They're
not as, I don't think they're
you
as
leave,
good.
you don't remember any of the songs,
Yeah, they're not, the songs aren't memorable. Like, to me, the greatest shows are Jesus Christ Superstar, Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera. I love Guys and Dolls. I love West Side Story. I mean, these are shows that have like 6, 7, 8 hit songs in them, and they're so memorable. They're so distinctive. And now I see a show and I think, maybe there's one song that's interesting, and they all kind of sound the same to me. Like, there's no distinguishing the material. I don't know.
When I grew up,
it's funny that you mentioned Jesus Christ Superstar. We had Ted Neely and Yvonne Illiman in the studio here because it's the 50th anniversary of Jesus Christ Superstar. I tell you, Yvonne, she's still got an amazing voice, and Ted still looks like Jesus Christ. I mean, he looks exactly like him, even without any type of makeup. So that was pretty cool. Now, yes, go ahead.
When I was growing up, my favorite, hands down, was West Side Story. And then Phantom of the Opera. I've seen it over 22 times. And then, though, I think the perfect Broadway musical that blew my mind on every level was Jersey Boys. The book was sensational. The music was sensational. The set changes were sensational. I saw that well over 20 times. And I was offered to be in it, but I didn't want to. It was already on Broadway. They wanted me to open Vegas in 2006, at the Paris Hotel to play Chip DiCarlo. I didn't do it. But that's my favorite show of all time. I think that's the perfect musical.
Yeah,
it was a great show.
I agree with you on that. I've actually had some of the actors on the show here as well. For those of you just joining us, we are having actress Deborah Renard, known for Dallas and Lionheart, Family Law, and as well as Al Sapienza from The Sopranos, Jack Ryan, Suits, House of Cards. And now, in addition to everything they've done, and again, we can go all day. I think Haley mentioned it earlier, is so much stuff on IMDb. We here all day just trying to do that. But let's talk about your show. Okay, New York City, Saturday, February 10th. It's going to be that, and of course, that's Valentine's Day Saturday. The Cutting Room.
It is. That's why we chose it. It's a great date night. It's a great Valentine's Day.
This is true. The Cutting Room, 44 East 32nd Street, New York City, and you can get tickets at the Cutting. What is it? The Cutting Room?
The Cutting Room NYC.
Okay. Yeah. The Cutting Room NYC. Again, that's going to be February 10th. So tell us about what you're going to be singing. You're going to do Beatles. You said that, but what else are you going to be doing?
Gordon Lightfoot, Barbara Streisand, Frank Sinatra, Brandy, You're a Fine Girl. We do the gamut of. We sing the songs that we loved the best in our lives, and we tell stories about how their songs affected our careers. We talk about Beatlemania. We do a couple of Beatles songs. And Mr. Big, Chris Noth from Sex and the City, is one of the owners of this place.
Okay.
It's fabulous. The sound system is ridiculous. It's the closest thing to like the old Copa. And, it's a classy place. We sell it out it's packed already. We sell it out every time. We only do it once a year because we're both so busy as actors. We do L.A. March 21st at Herb Alpert's place. We played Italy the last 2 Junes, and we just did the Philippines. We did 4 shows in the Philippines and came back January 8th. But Deb, tell them about the songs we sing and why.
Well, of course, because I love Broadway, I'm going to sing Cabaret. We sing from West Side Story. We're going to sing from Phantom. I sing 2 songs from Funny Girl. And I had the honor of meeting Barbra Streisand actually on a couple of occasions, and one was in her home at a dinner party for 8 people.
Wow.
And so I tell a story about that because I grew up like she was my icon. So I do a couple of songs in tribute to her. I do People and Don't Rain on My Parade. And then we sing like, Something Stupid, Frank Sinatra. We sing Simon and Garfunkel, Gordon Lightfoot. I sing Downtown, Petula Clark. We sing The Prayer, the Celine Dion, Andrea Bocelli song. I mean, it's such a wide range of music that I think that's what makes it so exciting to people. Because, it's, a lot of times these shows, they're kind of one genre of music, and it gets, a little boring after a while. We're just changing it up. Every song, you can't believe we're switching from this to that, Piano Man.
Yeah, one's rock and roll, one's Broadway, one's operatic, one's folk. And we do Gordon Lightfoot, If You Could Read My Mind. I mean,
wow.
And our goal is to reproduce the song. We're not going to change. Nobody cares about how Al Sapienza wants to sing If You Could Read My Mind. We want to bring people the exact song. We fly Joey Malati out from Las Vegas. He was Liza Minnelli's musical director. He's
Sure.
Michael Bolton's. Now he's been with Barry Manilow since the 80s.
For 25 years. Yeah.
We have an A-list top band, the top musicians in New York. And we reproduce the song, so you get the memory when you kissed that first girl, when you heard She Loves You, and that's why people love it. It's not even us they love the show. They love the songs, the material, the way they're presented, and we tell a lot of stories.
I think they like us too.
I kind of think with your resume, with the resume I'm looking at, I think they're going to like you too as well. Again, folks, it's going to be Saturday, February 10th. Valentine's Day Saturday, The Cutting Room, 44 East 32nd Street, New York City. And it's, of course, thecuttingroomnyc.com. And we'll be back with Live on Tape right after this. Each year, 5,000 people, including children, choke to death. LifeVac can stop these senseless tragedies. It's so easy to use also. Simply place the mask over face, push, and pull. You'll never regret having a LifeVac in your home or office. Please visit lifevac.net today to protect you and your loved ones. Or you can call them at 877-LIFEVAC. That's 877-LifeVac.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
But treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
And we're back to wrap up Live on Tape with Pete Trabucco, with, of course, my producer and co-host, Haley Taylor Simon. We've been talking with Deborah Renard, actress, and you've seen her in so many different things, including Dallas and, of course, the movie Lionheart, and, of course, Al Sapienza from The Sopranos and a whole bunch of other places as well. Incredible. So I got just one more question. I'm sure Haley's got one more question. We've only got about maybe 8 minutes left. I want to talk about the future now. You're doing this, okay? And by the way, if you need any background singers for your show on the 10th, I'm a singer. I can do background. I did Harry Chapin. I was a backgrounder for him, and I was a background for the Monkees when they needed somebody. Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes, I did. Over at Count Basie Theater in New Jersey. Okay.
Well, if you want, maybe we'll drag you up on stage. We sometimes drag people up on stage to do the last number.
Well, I tell you, if I know it, I will do it. I am a tenor.
Okay.
I am a tenor. But now, this show should be on Broadway. Okay. This show should be there. So are you working on that? Are you working on getting this thing to the next level? Because it sounds like it's a really good show. Okay, you think you can get it there?
It is a really good show. I'm not just saying everyone loves it, everyone. But I don't know. We're busy actors, and we do this because we love it. I don't know if I want to go do 8 shows a week, and I really don't know. Like, we love it. Doing it like 6 times a year, it's a party to us, and the audience, it's a party to them. I don't know if I really want to go and do this 8 times a week for 6 months on Broadway. I don't know. What do you think, Deb? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We have not even thought about it, to be perfectly honest, Pete. But it does keep growing. So I mean, anything is possible. You know,
we sell out wherever we go. We sell out.
Yeah. So who knows?
I just want to keep doing TV shows and movies. It's not that hard, and it's ridiculous work, and it's so much damn fun. Doing 8 shows a week of this on Broadway, I'd be exhausted.
That would take a lot of energy. Pete, can I tell, because you're in Philadelphia, can I tell people that we're going to be making a personal appearance in Pennsylvania at the end of February?
That is absolutely good. Yes. Tell us about that as well.
We're gonna be at the Happy Valley Comic and Collectibles Convention, February 24th and 25th, live, signing autographs, taking selfies, and this is going to be at the Nittany Valley Sports Center. And that's in something Philadelphia or something Pennsylvania. Let me see, where is that? Center Hall.
We're singing.
Center Hall,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Too, right?
Oh, and we're singing. We're going to get up and sing too. That's right.
Yeah, we're going to sing a few songs.
Well,
so we're going to sing a few songs, and we're there all day, the 24th and 25th of February. If anybody wants to come down and meet us live, that would be great.
Well, there you go. If you don't make New York City on the 10th, you can go to Pennsylvania, and that'll be great. I think Haley had a question for you.
Yes, I do. So out of all of the crowds you've performed in front of, what city or what town has stood out to you the most? What has been like the most fun atmosphere that you've been in front of?
I think New York. They go nuts. I mean, but the Philippines was fun too. For me, I think it's in New York. The crowd goes crazy because a lot of them know us personally. They just keep coming. You know, we know a lot of people in New York City from theater, from acting. We got the Sopranos. We all our actor friends are there. People go nuts in New York. What do you think, Deb?
I think we lost her for a second.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We lost Deb.
Yeah, we lost Deb, unfortunately. I think they want her back.
She'll probably say L.A. because she was brought up in Pacific Palisades.
We're getting Deb back.
She started taking dancing lessons when she was 3 years old.
Oh my God!
Sorry,
I got cut off. My mom called.
Your mom called from Pacific Palisades, California.
I was trying to put her on hold, and I ended up disconnecting myself.
Well, that's why we called it live on tape.
What's your favorite city?
Oh my God!
Because we're live.
And you just never know what'll happen.
We can blame it on the technology.
Exactly. I was going to say, to me, I love it when we're singing New York because, yes, Al's right. It's a party. It's friends and family that just love us. It was fantastic. But for me, when we sang with Peter Noon of Herman's Hermits last July at the PNC Bank Arts Center for 8,000 people, you know, sometimes you feel like, well, I'm singing for a lot of my friends and family. Maybe they just love me because they love me. But when you sing for 8,000 strangers and they love you and they're cheering you on, my God. It doesn't get any better.
It was great.
Well,
you're like, man, it must be good.
Well, you know, especially when they sing, Mrs. Brown, you have a lovely daughter.
Yes. And he did sing that.
He's adorable, and he did sing that, and he is so good looking and so funny, and he's great. He is great. We had a great time with him.
That's great. Okay, so repeat one more time for everybody. We want to repeat where you're going to be on the 10th, and also Happy Valley. I want to mention that too as well. Go ahead.
All right, February
the cutting room. I'll do the cutting room. The cutting room.
Okay, you do the cutting room.
The Cutting Room, New York City, Park Avenue and 32nd Street. Get the tickets at thecuttingroomnyc.com. Thecuttingroomnyc.com. And it's 7 o'clock, February 10th. We do one show a year, and you'll love it. I'm telling you, it's a great date night. And a lot of these things stink. You'll go to this thing, you will be totally entertained and really happy when you leave, because that's what it is.
You'll have a great time.
And
if you miss that, or you just love us so much you want to see us again, February 24th and 25th, we will be at the Happy Valley Comic-Con Collectibles event. It's 110 West Church Street in Center Hall, Pennsylvania, February 24th and 25th. And we will also be singing there.
Really? That's great. And maybe
Far out.
and maybe at that point I'll know your songs and I can go on stage and like.
You can come up with us. Absolutely, Pete.
I
We'll
wouldn't
drag
do that
up
to
there
you.
with us.
But so Haley, you want to go? You want to go on the was it 24th? You said.
Yeah,
Hell
24th and 25th. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I should be able to. A little bit of hockey
Come
during
by
the
and say
day.
hi.
She's so busy. She's so busy.
Hockey's during the day, though. So to be fair, I then have my night.
Yeah. Well,
You
this
can
is, I don't
interview
know
us
what
in
the
our
hours
locker
are.
room.
You know what? I've actually never done that before. Interviewed anybody that's a non-athlete, like in person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, you
Oh,
just did.
wow.
You just did.
Yeah.
Well, on the phone,
Yeah,
right? But not in person.
Not in
Yeah.
person. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I mean,
Well,
besides you, Pete, of course, because
No.
Pete does it all: astronaut, singer, actor.
I was not an astronaut. I was reporting on astronauts.
It's close enough.
Okay, I was in.
Oh, very close.
I've been told I'm a space cadet, but I've never been told.
Okay, let me rephrase: space cadet.
Well, listen, thank you so much, you
Thank
guys.
you.
We really do appreciate it. On behalf of
This was
myself,
so much fun.
on behalf of myself and Haley, I will see you on the 10th in New York City. But on behalf of us, we thank you for being on the show, and we really appreciate it. And we will talk to you again live on tape next week.